Drinking alcohol is forbidden in Islam. Despite knowing this, Caliph Harun al-Rashid of Baghdad once held a drinking party, a sharab majlis, inviting prominent merchants, ministers, viziers, and important royal court officials. While they were drinking, Bahlul, a revered figure of Baghdad, entered the royal court and sat down. For those unfamiliar, Bahlul was a historical figure who could not be disrespected or ignored. Even though the Caliph was powerful, he had to tolerate Bahlul, a respected mystic whom everyone felt obliged to honor. When the Caliph realized Bahlul had entered his drinking party in the royal court, dressed in his traditional robe, cloak and turban, Harun al-Rashid understood that Bahlul would scold him today. To protect himself and justify drinking, the Caliph presented Bahlul with a new philosophy. Cleverly, the Caliph said, "Bahlul, will you answer a question for me?" Bahlul replied, "Yes, sir, of course." Caliph Harun al-Rashid asked, "Well, Bahlul, is eating grapes forbidden? If someone eats grapes, is that forbidden?" Bahlul answered, "No, sir, certainly not. Grapes are a fruit from Allah Almighty. They're delicious and good for your health. You can definitely eat them." Harun al-Rashid then smiled and said, "Now, if after eating grapes, someone drinks a little water, would that become forbidden in Islamic law?" Bahlul replied, "No, sir, there is no harm in that." Caliph Harun al-Rashid then looked at everyone and said, with a bit more boldness, "Now if that person who ate grapes and drank water then sits in the sun for a long time, would that be a sin?" Bahlul answered, "No, sir, there is no sin in that, no problem. They can eat those things and sit in the sun as long as they wish." Then Caliph Harun al-Rashid said, "Then Bahlul, you are a great scholar. Tell me yourself, if these grapes and water are left in the sun for some time, why would they become forbidden? I mean, why would a grape sharab or wine be forbidden? Because it's made by leaving it in the sun for a long time and mixing it with water." Caliph Harun al-Rashid proudly stated his philosophy, posed his question and sat back on his throne in the royal court with a sense of calm. He was confident that Bahlul would not be able to offer him any advice while sitting in this gathering. The wise Bahlul, after hearing Caliph Harun's question, said to him, "Caliph Harun, you will get the answers to all your questions, but on one condition. You must first answer 3 simple questions of mine. Then I will be able to explain the correct answer to your question." Caliph Harun al-Rashid said, "Yes, certainly, go ahead. You have my permission." Bahlul asked, "Well, Caliph, tell me, if some dry dirt is poured on someone's head, will they die?" Caliph Harun al-Rashid replied, "Of course not. They might feel some pain if it's thrown from a great height and their head would get dirty, but they wouldn't die." Bahlul then asked, "And if some water is poured on their head afterward, will that person have any problems?" Caliph Harun al-Rashid said, "No, that wouldn't cause any problems either, though their head would get wet." Then Bahlul said, "Now if that dirt and water are mixed together to form a brick, and that brick is dropped on the person's head from above and it strikes their head, will they have any problems?" Caliph Harun al-Rashid exclaimed, "Bahlul, are you mocking me? If a brick falls on someone's head from above, that person will die instantly. Their head will be crushed." Then Bahlul said, "Caliph, look, just as dry dirt falling on someone's head doesn't kill them, and similarly, pouring water on their head doesn't harm it, it only gets dirty. If these 2 ingredients are not thrown separately, but combined to make a brick and thrown, that same head is crushed. Similarly, grapes and water combine to create something that is forbidden and impure, but separately these 2 things are pure. Drinking them separately causes you no harm. But if they are combined to make wine and then consumed, a person's intellect is lost and Islamic law prescribes punishment for it." Upon hearing this, Caliph Harun al-Rashid immediately dropped the wine glass from his hand, and all the important individuals present in the royal assembly who were drinking wine quickly left the gathering. Dear viewers, I'd like to inform you that people in those times did engage in un-Islamic activities, but they held great respect for the mystics. Anyway, let me tell you another story about Bahlul.
Once, a fakir was walking past a bakery in a large market in Baghdad. The baker had all kinds of food cooking in the oven, ready to serve hot to customers, and smoke was rising from the food. The aroma of the food attracted customers nearby, and the poor fakir's heart also became covetous. However, the fakir had no money to buy food, but he also didn't want to leave. The captivating aroma of the food increased his hunger. Finally, he opened the bag on his shoulder, took out some dry bread, and began to soften it with the warm steam rising from the bakery's oven. Then he ate it. This way, his old bread acquired some of the food's aroma. The bakery owner quietly observed this scene. When the fakir finished eating his bread and started to walk away, the baker blocked his path and asked, "Hey brother, where are you running off to? Give me my money." The fakir, surprised, asked, "Money for what?" The bakery owner said, "You just flavored your old bread with the fragrant steam from my food and ate it. Was that your father's? Who will pay for it?" The fakir said, "You are a very strange person. That steam was flying away in the air. Even if I hadn't toasted my bread there, it would have still dissipated into the air. So if I mixed that airborne steam with my bread and ate it, what's it to you? You haven't suffered any loss for which I should pay you." The bakery owner said, "Enough. Stop talking nonsense. I won't let you go easily. I'll get my money back." With that, the baker grabbed the fakir by his collar. The helpless fakir became worried. Just then, Bahlul was passing by. Seeing them in this state, he stopped and listened to their conversation. The fakir, feeling Bahlul would be sympathetic, explained the entire situation to him. Then Bahlul said to the baker, "Tell me, brother, what food did this poor fakir eat of yours?" The baker replied, "No, he didn't eat my food, but he benefited from the fragrant steam of my food. I'm asking for the price of the aroma he took from here." Bahlul said to him, "You're right. You're absolutely correct. Since you created that aroma, you certainly deserve its price." Bahlul shook his head and took a handful of gold coins from his pocket, dropping them one by one. This caused a jingling sound as one coin fell on top of another. The merchant became extremely happy. He was sure that Bahlul, being crazy, would certainly give him all these gold coins. Because this madman isn't in his right mind, maybe he got them from the Caliph, and now he'll give all the gold coins to me as the price of that aroma. Bahlul asked him, "Merchant, did you hear the sound of these gold coins?" The merchant smiled and said, "Of course, sir. I heard the sound of every single coin." Then Bahlul said, "That's it then." This time, Bahlul gathered all his coins from the ground and put them back in his pocket. Seeing this, the merchant said, "What's wrong? Aren't you giving me the coins? Surely you didn't take them out for nothing." Bahlul said, "Oh, I took them out for you. I have paid your price." The merchant said, "Are you mocking me?" Then Bahlul said, "Why would I mock you? The value of the fresh, fragrant steam rising from your hot food can only be paid by the jingling sound of money." He continued, "That means the sound of the coins you heard is the price of that aroma." The onlookers standing around that shop in Baghdad went wild with laughter at Bahlul's witty display. Viewers, Bahlul Dana is a name in history whose every incident holds countless lessons. One day, Bahlul Dana, as usual, came to the royal palace to advise Caliph Harun al-Rashid. Although he knew that this arrogant Abbasid caliph would not listen to him, it had become his habit to occasionally visit the royal palace and subtly convey to the caliph through various hints and gestures that he was making mistakes. Caliph Harun al-Rashid had also grown accustomed to listening to Bahlul's words, so he didn't take Bahlul's advice very seriously, even though Bahlul often spoke harshly and sometimes acted audaciously with the caliph. Nevertheless, Harun al-Rashid always managed the situation somehow. But this time, Bahlul did something in front of everyone in the full assembly that greatly angered the caliph. The incident was as follows. Bahlul entered the royal court and saw many people sitting around Caliph Harun al-Rashid. Bahlul looked around and found no place to sit. He also realized that no one was pleased to see him and no one offered him a seat out of respect. He stood there for a while, observing the people and trying to understand the situation. Then he made his way through the crowd in the middle of the assembly, went straight towards the Caliph's throne, and sat down right next to Caliph Harun on the throne itself. Since the throne was very large, it could accommodate 2 to 3 people where one usually sat. But no one sat there except the Caliph. But Bahlul Dana sat directly next to the Caliph on the throne. The smiling people in the court, seeing this scene, shouted, "What kind of behavior is this? Bahlul must have gone mad. No one has ever been so disrespectful to the Caliph until today." Caliph Harun al-Rashid, hearing the words of the court people, looked at Bahlul with anger. But Bahlul was not someone to be intimidated. He had a faint smile on his lips, which made Caliph Harun al-Rashid speechless with rage. His anger only intensified. He understood that Bahlul was humiliating him in front of others. Everyone stared in surprise at the Caliph and Bahlul. Caliph Harun al-Rashid fell into deep thought, but couldn't figure out how to free himself from Bahlul's grip and how to teach him a lesson. Suddenly, a wicked thought came to his mind. He looked at Bahlul with a charming smile and said, "Since you've gone to such trouble to meet me, I want to ask you a question. If you answer it, I will give you a reward of 1,000 dinars. But if you cannot answer it, I will order my soldiers to shave your mustache and beard and parade you through the streets on a donkey." Bahlul quickly understood that the Caliph had decided to take revenge. He would surely ask a question that no one could answer. So, to humble Caliph Harun al-Rashid, he said, "Caliph, I don't need your dinars. However, I am ready to answer your riddle on one condition." Caliph Harun al-Rashid asked, "What condition?" Bahlul said, "On the condition that you order the flies not to bother me. They keep buzzing around my head all the time." Caliph Harun al-Rashid bowed his head in thought and muttered to himself, "If I sit on the streets all day like this, flies will certainly buzz around." After muttering these words to himself, the Caliph straightened his head and looked at everyone. Because, in fact, the Caliph didn't know the correct answer to the question Bahlul had asked. And he saw that everyone in the court was sitting in silence. Finally, Caliph Harun al-Rashid was forced to say, "That's impossible, because flies don't obey my orders." Bahlul looked at Caliph Harun al-Rashid with disdain and said, "What kind of king are you? Helpless before these small tiny flies? These flies don't listen to you?" Hearing this, all the courtiers burst into loud laughter. Caliph Harun al-Rashid looked at them with extremely angry at their mocking laughter. Because of his power, everyone's smiles vanished instantly, and they held their breath. Bahlul realized that he had embarrassed Caliph Harun al-Rashid too much in front of others. Then Bahlul decided to console Caliph Harun al-Rashid and cool his anger. He said to Caliph Harun al-Rashid, "All right, you can ask your question now. I am ready to answer your question without any conditions." Caliph Harun al-Rashid said, "If you can't tell, then the punishment I mentioned earlier, Bahlul, will be given to you, Bahlul. Remember that. Now tell me, what is that tree that is 1 year old, has 12 branches, and each branch has 30 leaves, with one side of the leaves illuminated and the other side dark?" Bahlul became lost in deep thought. He heard people saying, "What a strange question. Bahlul won't be able to answer this. He's going to be punished." Caliph Harun al-Rashid watched Bahlul's worried face for a long time and then said, "Bahlul, if you can't answer the riddle, don't delay. Prepare for your punishment." He ordered the officials to shave Bahlul's mustache and beard and parade him through the streets on a donkey. Bahlul interrupted the Caliph and said, "This tree is essentially 1 year, and its 12 branches mean 12 months, and the 30 leaves on each branch are the 30 days of the month. One part of the leaves being illuminated means daylight, and one part being dark means the darkness of night." Upon hearing Bahlul's answer, shouts of "Bravo" echoed among the listeners. Everyone was happy and praised Bahlul. Subhanallah! But Caliph Harun al-Rashid remained silent. His jaw dropped, and the sign of defeat was clearly visible on him.
Viewers, Allah Almighty sent Bahlul with special wisdom. He was such a revered, perfect mystic of Allah who possessed an ocean of knowledge. Let me tell you another such incident. Caliph Harun al-Rashid's wife, Zubaydah, was a very religious woman. She had 1,000 female servants in her palace who were hafiz, memorizers of the Quran, and qari, reciters of the Quran.
Their duties were divided into different shifts, so the sound of women reciting the Quran could be heard from her palace 24 hours a day. Her palace seemed like a garden of the Quran. One day, Caliph Harun al-Rashid went for a walk with his wife along the riverbank. The Caliph saw Bahlul sitting quietly on one side of the riverbank. Caliph Harun al-Rashid said, "Assalamu alaikum, Bahlul." Bahlul replied, "Wa alaikum assalam." Caliph Harun al-Rashid asked, "Bahlul, what are you doing here?" He replied, "I'm building a house on the sand. Can't you see?" Caliph Harun al-Rashid asked, "Why are you building this? What purpose will it serve? You could do without such useless work." Bahlul replied, "I will pray for the person who buys this house that Allah, the Lord of Might, grants them a house in paradise in exchange for this one." Caliph Harun al-Rashid asked, "Bahlul, what is the price of your house?" He replied, "Only 1 dinar, and the money I receive from selling it I will donate to a needy person." Caliph Harun al-Rashid thought this was just another eccentricity of a madman, so he ignored him and walked on. Behind him came Caliph Harun al-Rashid's wife, Zubaydah Khatun. She asked Bahlul the same question. Bahlul replied that he would pray for paradise for whoever bought his house. Zubaydah Khatun asked, "Bahlul, what is the price of this house?" Bahlul said, "Only 1 dinar." Zubaydah Khatun took out a dinar and gave it to him, asking him to pray for her. And Bahlul raised his hands and prayed to Allah for Zubaydah, saying, "O Allah, accept this servant of yours for your religion, accept her as a servant of the Quran, and grant her an excellent home in the hereafter." Subhanallah. The next day, the Caliph dreamed of paradise. In paradise, besides huris and all kinds of fruits, he saw many tall, beautiful, and pleasant palaces. He saw that on a very beautiful and pleasant palace made of red ruby, his wife Zubaydah's name was written. Harun al-Rashid thought, "I need to verify if this is really my wife's house." As he approached the gate to enter that palace, a gatekeeper stopped him. Harun al-Rashid said, "What's wrong? Why are you stopping me? My wife's name is written on it. Let me in." The gatekeeper said, "No, the rules here are different. There's no custom here where if it belongs to the wife, the husband can enter, or if it belongs to the husband, the wife becomes the owner. Only those who have good deeds can enter this house, not their wives or children. Only those whose names are mentioned are allowed to enter this house. No one else is permitted. Therefore, you will not be allowed to enter." Saying this, the gatekeeper pushed Harun al-Rashid away from there. And after being pushed by the angel of paradise, Harun al-Rashid woke up from his sleep. After waking up, Harun al-Rashid thought, "It seems Allah Almighty has accepted Bahlul's prayer for Zubaydah." Then he felt great regret for himself. He thought, "I wasn't able to do so many good deeds. What a mistake I made. It would have been better if I had bought Bahlul's house." All night, Harun al-Rashid tossed and turned in bed with this regret. In the morning, Harun al-Rashid thought to himself, "Today I will go to that riverbank first thing. If I find Bahlul today, I will also buy a house." So, Harun al-Rashid went for a walk again with his wife the next evening by that riverbank. He was looking here and there for Bahlul. Suddenly, he saw Bahlul sitting in another spot, building houses in the same way. Seeing this scene from a distance, Harun al-Rashid became very happy. He ran up to him with a smile and said, "Assalamu alaikum, Bahlul. How are you? Today I will buy your house." Bahlul replied, "You can buy it, no problem. I will pray for the person who buys this house of mine. I will pray for him that Allah, the Lord of Might, grants them a house in paradise in exchange for this one." As soon as Harun al-Rashid extended a dinar towards Bahlul, Bahlul dropped the dinar on the ground and said, "What's wrong? Are you mocking me?" Then Harun al-Rashid said, "Why? What's the price of this house?" Bahlul said, "Its price is the entire kingdom of the world." Harun al-Rashid was astonished. He said, "I can't pay that much. Yesterday you gave it for 1 dinar, and today you are asking for the entire kingdom of the world for this trivial house." Bahlul smiled and said, "Caliph, yesterday it was unseen. Today it is proven. Yesterday it was an exchange for something unseen, so it was cheap. Since you have come today knowing its value, you will have to pay a much higher price for it. But unfortunately, you no longer have the ability to pay that price." He also added, "Similarly, after death, there is no opportunity to add new good deeds. But there is an opportunity to add new deeds starting from today." Subhanallah. Viewers, once Bahlul Dana was sitting in a graveyard. Someone asked him, "Bahlul, what are you doing here?" He replied, "I am with people whose company does not bother me, and they do not backbite about me if I am away from them." The questioner then said, "Bahlul, since prices have gone up so much, please pray to Allah for prices to come down." Bahlul said, "By Allah, it doesn't matter to me what the price of things is, whether it goes up or down. Even if a single grain of wheat costs 1 dinar or 10 dinars, it makes no difference to me. Because Allah has a right over us that we worship Him, according to His command. And we have a right over Allah that He will provide for us according to His promise, no matter how high the price is. Subhanallah. When Allah has taken responsibility for provision, I don't need to worry anymore." It is said that once Sheikh Junaid Baghdadi, considered one of the wisest sheikhs of the Indian subcontinent, Allahu Akbar, was a perfect servant of Allah and the most learned and experienced Quranic exegete of his time. Sheikh Junaid Baghdadi, may Allah have mercy on him, set off for Baghdad with the intention of traveling. Some of his disciples were with him. The sheikh asked his disciples, "Do you know about Bahlul's whereabouts?" They said, "Sir, he is just a madman. What will you do by meeting him? Should a respected sheikh like you run after such madmen?" Sheikh Junaid Baghdadi, may Allah have mercy on him, replied, "Please look for Bahlul and speak to him with respect. I have an important matter with him." So the disciples obeyed the sheikh's command. After searching for a while, the disciples found Bahlul in a desert. They took the sheikh there. When Sheikh Junaid Baghdadi approached Bahlul, he saw Bahlul lying down with a brick under his head. The sheikh greeted him, and Bahlul returned the greeting and asked, "Who are you?" The sheikh replied, "I am Junaid Baghdadi." Bahlul said, "Oh Abul Qasim, are you the Sheikh Baghdadi who teaches people the sayings of the mystics?" The sheikh replied, Yes, I try." Bahlul asked, "Well, you certainly know the etiquette and methods of eating, right?" Sheikh Junaid Baghdadi, may Allah have mercy on him, said, "Yes, why not? I say Bismillah and eat what is in front of me. I eat in small morsels according to the sunnah of the Prophet, chewing slowly because the Messenger of Allah instructed to eat this way. I don't look at others' morsels because this is also a command of the Messenger of Allah. And I don't forget the remembrance of Allah while eating because this is also Allah's command." In addition, the sheikh recounted many other hadith and Quranic verses related to the etiquette of conversation. Bahlul said, "Let's leave aside the etiquette of eating. It seems you don't even know the etiquette of speaking." Then Bahlul turned his face away from the sheikh and continued walking in the desert. The disciples could no longer remain silent and said, "Sir, we don't like you running after this madman like this. What knowledge do you expect from a madman?" Junaid Baghdadi said, "I still have more work to do with him. You won't understand." Then the sheikh again set out after Bahlul. Bahlul stopped and turned around, saw the sheikh and said, "You don't know the etiquette of eating and speaking, but you surely know the etiquette of sleeping." The sheikh said, "Yes, I know. When I finish the Isha prayer and supplications, I go to the bedroom." Saying this, the sheikh described all the etiquettes of sleeping that he knew from the hadith of the Messenger of Allah. Bahlul said, "It seems you don't even know the etiquette of sleeping." Saying this, Bahlul tried to leave. But this time, Junaid Baghdadi firmly grabbed his cloak and said, "Sir, I know nothing." As he said this, tears streamed from his eyes, and he bowed before Bahlul, saying, "For Allah's sake, teach me." This time, Bahlul sat down calmly and said, "All that you have said is secondary. These are also knowledge, and they are also necessary. But you are far from the main thing. Listen to the real point from me. The true etiquette of eating is that the food must first be halal, permissible. If there is anything forbidden in your provision, then following all the sunnah etiquette you described while eating that food will be of no benefit, because the root is corrupted, and your heart will become dark instead of enlightened if you eat that forbidden food, even with all the sunnah etiquettes. Similarly, what you told me about sleeping, those are correct sunnahs of the Messenger of Allah, but they are not the true purpose. The real point is that when you go to sleep, cleanse your heart. All the envy and malice that have nested in your heart throughout the day must be freed from. Forgive everyone. Erase envy from your heart. If there is love for the world and its wealth in your heart, you must wash and clean it away before sleeping, because sleep is akin to death. Who knows if you will wake up in the morning? And yes, you must remain engrossed in the remembrance of Allah until you fall asleep." As soon as Bahlul Dana finished speaking, Junaid Baghdadi began kissing his hand.
The present disciples also began kissing Bahlul's hand. The situation was such that all the dirt and dust on Bahlul's hand were cleaned away. Bahlul began to say, "Do not honor me like this. Rather embrace my knowledge in your heart and hold on to it firmly until the day you die." After that, Bahlul raised his hands and prayed for everyone. All the followers of Junaid Baghdadi raised their hands and wept before Allah. They realized their mistakes and also understood that every person should not be ashamed to learn what they do not know. Dear viewers, to understand that good manners and etiquette, adab, akhlaq, are the most important asset and investment for success in human life, one incident of Bahlul Dana is enough. Once, Bahlul Dana saw a merchant sitting in the desert and asked, "What's wrong?" The merchant, with much courtesy and good manners, said to Bahlul Dana, "Respected sir, please give me some knowledge so that I can succeed in business. My business is not succeeding at all. You are a great mystic, and undoubtedly I will get good knowledge from you. Just tell me which business will be profitable." Bahlul told him, "Buy clothes." The merchant said, "Respected sir, if you would tell me what color of clothes to buy." Bahlul Dana said, "Buy black-colored clothes." The merchant thanked him and went back. He went and bought all the black clothes in the area. A few days later, an important person in that city died. People all over the city went out in search of black clothes as a sign of mourning. Now all the black clothes were only with that merchant. The merchant then sold all the black clothes at a very high price and made a huge profit. He made so much profit that he earned more profit from those black clothes alone than he had earned in his entire life. This means he took advantage of the opportunity, making 3 or 4 times more profit since no one else had black clothes except him. That person became rich. Sometime later, the merchant was riding a sturdy horse, dressed in luxurious clothes, going somewhere. Bahlul was sitting in the same desert. The merchant, while on horseback, looked at Bahlul and said, "Hey, madman, what's wrong with you? Give me some more business ideas so I can become even richer." Then Bahlul told him, "Yes, now buy watermelons." He quickly left from there and bought all the watermelons in Baghdad, spending all his wealth within a day. And it turned out that 2 days later, all his stored watermelons rotted and were ruined, and he became a pauper. As he wandered around in this destitute state, he met Bahlul again one day and asked, "What did you do to me, sir?" Bahlul said, "Not me, but your words and your manner of speaking did all this. Your adab and akhlaq raised you up, and again your adab and akhlaq brought you down. When you asked politely, my answer made you rich. When you asked disrespectfully, you became destitute. This is what is meant by whoever has adab is fortunate, and whoever does not have adab is the most unfortunate in this world."